This is Tar Heel Talk, an in-depth look at the issues and people making news in North Carolina. Here's your host, Sonia Williams.
The Raleigh Hall of Fame recognizes individuals and nonprofit organizations, both past and present, who have made a significant and lasting contribution to the city of Raleigh. And joining me now to tell us more about this year's event is Dr. Barry Malone. He's the chair of the Raleigh Hall of Fame, and Bonnie Woodruff, who's president of the Rex Healthcare Guild. Thank you both so much for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
The Raleigh Hall of Fame has a long and rich history of honoring people and organizations throughout the community who've made a lasting impact in the community. Tell us a little bit about the history of the Raleigh Hall of Fame and its mission.
Okay. Around 2003, 2004, Mary Cates, who was on the city council, had an idea of how can we recognize some of the men and women who made a contribution to Raleigh. And so she started thinking about it, kicking around different ideas, and she met up with Joyce Kikas and also Lou Mitchell. And the three of them started working with some people over at the convention center, the Raleigh, I guess back then it would have been the Civic Center maybe, on how can we put together a program to honor the people they thought made really important contributions to the city. And around 2005, they formed a nonprofit, and they had their first induction ceremony. And they decided to have different kind of parts where or different types of inductees, where you would induct individuals so you could recognize people who were doing things perhaps in different facets of Raleigh, in the arts, in education, in business, just a wide range of fields. They also wanted to look at organizations. And also to make sure they were looking at the past, they also looked at what we call centennial candidates. And this would be men or women who were born more than 100 years ago. So from any year, so this would be like you had to, 1918 was this year. And that's how it kind of got started. And now this year we're having our 14th induction ceremony.
And there have been a lot of prominent people from Raleigh, the Raleigh community, who have been inducted over the years. Talk a little bit about that.
Okay. We've had some really interesting people inducted. Some of the more famous would be someone like Governor Broughton, someone that everyone would probably recognize, just because he was a governor, he was a senator, he was on a short list at one time to be the vice president with Franklin Roosevelt. So that name is kind of a famous name that people would recognize. There's some other names in the community, though, that I'm sure a lot of people, in the African-American community, Dr. Dednam, for instance. Someone like myself, who was actually, he was there when I was born, and many people in the African-American community would know him just because he was one of the most prominent physicians throughout most of his career. You'd have people, trying to think of other, Jesse Helms, a senator who was inducted several years ago. You also have, gosh, there have been so many people. The Boys and Girls Club was inducted as one of the organizations several years ago.
So there are a lot of different prominent, like I said, prominent people and organizations that are making an impact in the Raleigh community. And we're talking about organizations making an impact in the Raleigh community. The Rex Healthcare Guild is certainly one, Bonnie, that is going to be one of the inductees this year. Tell us a little bit about your organization and the work that you're doing.
Well, it was founded in 1936. And it was a group of physicians' wives who wanted to assist Rex in helping to serve the community of Raleigh. It is now 30 guild members from all walks of life, very forefront-thinking women, and there have been over 240 guild members in the 82 years that we have been, an organization. And I think that we are one of the few healthcare organizations that has been inducted, so we're very proud of that. And I don't think there are many of these organizations that has been around as long as the Guild has and has made the impact that we have made. But we support Rex through volunteerism and financial profit. We have 2 gift shops, Corner Gift Shop and the Heartbeat Gifts, which is a new gift shop in the new Heart and Vascular Hospital. And that's where we get that's how we get our finances that we give back to Rex through 22 projects and programs that we support at Rex.
And when you talk about making an impact in the community, the Rex Healthcare Guild certainly is doing that. We have some information to share with your 3D breast imaging machine. That's
Right.
$100,000 that you all were able to raise and support.
We
families.
Almost every 2 years try to make a huge donation like that. We have done the mammogram machine. We've done hearing screening machines for newborns. We've done heart monitors, for newborns at risk. We actually, the last thing that we have done, a big donation, was to support the new gift shop, Heartbeat Gifts, in the Heart and Vascular Center. We did $150,000, $100,000 so we could have the naming rights, and then $50,000 to merchandise it.
Absolutely. Definitely making an impact for families
Yes.
in need during
Yes.
some of their most vulnerable times.
And we also have a pharmacy fund that if people can't afford their medications, we pay for them. If every baby that leaves the hospital has a car seat, if if the parents can't afford it, we donate it and give it to them. Every baby is left at the hospital with a hand-knitted baby cap. So that means a lot to new parents and patients, and we've never really sought any attention. We've done behind the scenes, and so to have this honor is quite an accolade.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is what the Raleigh Hall of Fame is really all about, honoring and recognizing organizations and people who are making a huge impact.
Yeah, and that's what we've sought to do. That's been our mission, I think, from the very beginning, and it continues to be the mission of the Raleigh Hall of Fame. Because you have a lot of organizations out there doing great work that some people in the community know about, some people don't. You also have a lot of individuals that are really kind of under the radar that are making great contributions. And it's a great way to kind of share that with the city and to share that with newcomers to the city, as well as just a chance for the city to come together and just kind of and celebrate community and what it means to be a community. And part of it is service to the community.
Absolutely. And this year's event is going to take place on November 4th.
Yes, Sunday, November 4th. And so it's a different night for us, but we still have people that come out. And it starts at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And so it's a great event.
Absolutely, and people can find out more information by going to the website, the RaleighHallOfFame.org, to get more information. We're going to take a break. We'll talk more in just a minute.
Great.
We'll be back with more on the Raleigh Hall of Fame after these messages. Today's show focuses on the Raleigh Hall of Fame. The organization is recognizing individuals and nonprofit organizations, both past and present, who have made significant and lasting contributions to the city of Raleigh. And with us again is Dr. Barry Malone, chair of the Raleigh Hall of Fame, and Bonnie Woodruff, president of the Rex Healthcare Guild. Thank you both again for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
This year's event promises to be another signature event for the Raleigh Hall of Fame. Let's talk a little bit about some of the inductees.
Sure.
We have some photographs of some of the inductees, so we can take a look at those and kind of go from there.
All right. Mort Congleton, he served on the city council several terms. He was, to me, one of his biggest contributions was he was the head of the foundation at Wake Technical Community College. And while there, he really helped grow the foundation into a really strong and resource for the college. He also, while he was there, started a program called Bright Futures, which helps foster kids coming out of foster care with the expense of going to college and graduating from Wake Technical Community College. He was also involved in the Charlie Gaddy Center and creating an ombudsman for for like nursing homes and for seniors. So he's been very active, and we're really proud to have him. And he did a great job at Wake Tech, helping make that one of the leading institutions of education in the area.
Absolutely, definitely making an impact in the Triangle area. Okay.
Yeah. And we could also look at, Dr. William Hedrick. He has been a practicing physician now for decades and has served the community. He ran what is now Wake Med, he was one of the first emergency ER physicians over at Wake Med. He also started a restaurant several years ago called Seth Jones. It's no longer there, but it's closed. So he ran that establishment for years. And when he sold his family farm, he set aside part of it so that it could be a public space for people to go and enjoy the outdoors. So he's made a really kind of great contribution to leisure as well as to healthcare in Raleigh.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we talk about, well, here we have Chief Justice Burley Mitchell, who's also an inductee.
Yeah, and I think without a doubt, he probably touched every kid in the state. His most famous decision is the Leandro decision that he authored, which made sure that kids across the state have access to a sound education.
Right.
And that probably will be his lasting legacy, I think.
Absolutely. So definitely making a strong impact in the community. And I want to talk a little bit, Bonnie, about the Rex Healthcare Guild, because you are one of the honorees as well as an organization, and you're doing so much to touch so many different lives in the area. And oftentimes the work that you're doing is behind the scenes, but you're touching families probably at some of their darkest hours.
Yes, I think you are correct. And, you know, over the years, I think the patients and the staff at Rex have all felt the generosity of the Guild. And we are the heart of the hospital in many ways, because we give back so much, and we really make things happen. And I just think that one thing that we do is for the staff. I mean, we not only do for patients and their families, but we have some things that we enjoy doing. At Christmas, we do a holiday tea, and we have 2,500 volunteers and staff members that come, and they really love that. We do poinsettias throughout the hospital. On Christmas Eve morning, all the patients that are left in the hospital, we give them holiday bears. And that's been a really wonderful, it was written up in the newspaper several years ago, but the Guild members and their families, grandchildren and children, come to the hospital and visit the patients and give them a holiday bear. And it just means the world to someone that's in the hospital over the holidays like that.
Right, and that can make a huge difference for someone who, like you said, is in the hospital and going through a very difficult time. I'm sure that's one of the reasons that the Raleigh Hall of Fame is honoring the Rex Healthcare Guild.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's part of a long tradition of looking for organizations that have made it their mission to help those in need, help in this case, people who often may need a helping hand during times of really the most stressful times of their life, when they're in need of health care.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you talked about the holiday bears and just being that support during the holiday season, but you're really supporting families all year long.
Yes.
You're making significant donations. When you talk about the palliative care, you're making a $100,000 donation to that.
We started that program. We funded the program to get started. I think it was in 2006. And so it's been up and running, but we seeded the money, $100,000, to get the palliative care program started. And that's much what we do. We will seed the money and get a program started, and then and if they came back to us and needed more money, of course, we have a process that we go through, our budget process, just like most other organizations do their budgeting. And so we have liaisons. Each Guild member is a liaison to a department in the hospital. And so that's how we get our budget request.
Right. And so we talked about the $100,000, but you also have a pharmacy fund, and you mentioned that a little bit earlier, which is major for families who don't have health insurance or have very limited means or resources and are unable to buy their
Right.
prescription medication.
Exactly. We would not want any patient to leave Rex without being able to have their prescriptions filled, and that's what this pharmacy fund. We give $40,000 a year, the Guild does, to help this program to keep giving medicines to people that can't afford them.
Right, which is absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. And I think a lot of families, it's important to know that you have this resource available, because I think a lot of times families will just go without because they don't know that there is some
Exactly.
support available. When you talk a little bit about this year's event, what can people expect?
Okay. When you arrive at 5 o'clock, you will have a chance to mingle, because we open with a reception. The reception runs about an hour, and so that's a great chance to catch up with people that maybe you haven't seen in a while, and also get to meet new people. So it's just a great chance to kind of relax and to say hello to people. And then we have a dinner, which is always very good.
Absolutely.
And so that lasts about an hour. And then we have the event itself, which starts at 7 o'clock. And that's when we have the actual induction ceremony. And that's a really good event. And WREL has put together videos for us so that each inductee has their own video. And it's just really nice. And it's, everyone gets a medallion that they can take home with them. And it's really fun. It's a lot of fun.
Right, okay. And people can find out more information by going to RaleighHallOfFame.org and get information about how to purchase tickets. It's going to be, like you said, Sunday, November 4th at 5 p.m. at the Raleigh Convention Center. And we're going to take a break. We'll talk more about some of the other inductees when we come back.
All right. Great.
All right. Don't go away. Tar Heel Talk will continue after these messages. Welcome back to Tar Heel Talk. I'm Sonia Williams. The Raleigh Hall of Fame recognizes individuals and nonprofit organizations, both past and present, who have made significant and lasting contributions to the city of Raleigh. And this year's event will take place on Sunday, November 4th at 5 p.m. at the Raleigh Convention Center. With us again is Dr. Barry Malone, chair of the Raleigh Hall of Fame, and Bonnie Woodruff, who is president of the Rex Healthcare Guild. Thank you both again for being with us.
Thank you.
So we're all set for Sunday,
Sunday.
November 4th at 5 p.m. for this year's Raleigh Hall of Fame inductees. Barry, tell us a little bit about what we can expect from this event.
I think you're going to get a chance to meet some of the new inductees this year. We have a great class of inductees that are coming in. So you'll get to see people. I'm trying to think of one of the new inductees that we're going to have coming in, for instance, that we haven't already talked about. Let me look at my notes real quick, and I'll give you a name.
Absolutely.
Oh, Thomas Sayer's going to come in. Sayer's coming in, and I think he is one of the probably the most famous of the inductees in the sense of if you've ever driven through Raleigh, you know his work, and his most famous work is the convention center, the Schirmer Wall there, which we all pass, and over at Explorers or Marvel's Museum, his wall there. So you'll get to possibly meet him and see some of the folks there that are happy to celebrate with them. Ronnie Shavlik is coming in this year, and this is our first athlete to be inducted. And of course, for Wolfpack fans, they're fairly excited. As a Tar Heel man, I'm not as excited, but I'm still happy for him. So Ronnie Shavlik's coming in. But we think of him as an athlete, but also the great contributions he made to the community through the business he owned, and his commitment to helping those with disabilities. So that's a great way to kind of think about, someone like Ronnie Shavlik, who we think athlete, but also businessman and philanthropist, and someone who really cared about his community. A big one for all of us, I think, also is A.C. Snow, because most of us have grown up, because A.C. Snow has been with the Raleigh Times and the News Observer for so long that he's an institution with the paper of record for the state, and he still writes for them. And it's exciting that we're going to have a chance to bring him in. So this is some really exciting, I think it's going to be a fun night to be able to see these people and to hear about them in more detail.
definitely making a huge impact in the Raleigh area and in the community and in the lives of people in our community. And one of the organizations being inducted this year is the Rex Healthcare Guild. And you're making such huge strides with families in need who are seeking medical attention.
And one of the other things we provide, besides funding the things that we've talked about, the Guild has a garden. It's called the Grimes Garden, and it was renovated this year, and it offers patients and family members and staff a real pleasing, tranquil place to go for contemplation. It's a beautiful garden, and it has waterfalls. I mean, it's just peaceful, and I just think that is something that we offer. We also have a chapel that we have helped renovate, and that's another place that in-house that patients and, well, some patients, but families really use it a lot. But we have made an impact, and since 1980, the projects funded by the Guild have totaled more than $1.6 million.
Wow. Definitely making a huge impact and providing a great source of support, not just for patients, but for their families as well.
And in the community.
When you look at organizations like the Rex Healthcare Guild and the inductees from this year, what do you look for next year? Because you've got to find some other organizations and people to nominate. How do people do that?
It's really all grassroots. It's done by the community. One of the things that we like to stress with the Raleigh Hall of Fame is that we don't go out and choose people. We don't go out and say, oh, we think you'd be great, and then say we're going to induct you. It's really generated by the community. So it's up to people in the community to nominate someone. And it gives us a wider rate a wide net to cast, because you bring people and organizations to us. And what I would recommend and encourage is anyone who is a member of the community, who cares about the community, and they know someone they think represents the idea of service, the idea of someone who's been dedicated to Raleigh and making it a better place to live, or an organization that's done that they visit our website, and we are accepting nominations now for 2019.
Okay. So
it's not too early. If they know someone who was born 100 years ago who they think is worthy of recognition, to go ahead and put in a nomination for them also. We look for people across the spectrum: arts, sports, education, business. It doesn't matter. As long as rich, poor, ethnicity, it doesn't matter, as long as they made a lasting contribution to the city.
Definitely looking for people, or to recognize people who are making an impact, a positive impact in the community. When you look at organizations like the Rex Healthcare Guild and the impact that they're making, why is it so important to have the Raleigh Hall of Fame and to recognize organizations and individuals like this?
I was listening to the mayor when she was talking about the hurricane, and one of the things she mentioned is that, if you were here for Hurricane Fran, the city was so much smaller, and I think she said, Raleigh is now twice as big as it used to be, just since Hurricane Fran a couple of decades ago. So the demographics have changed, Raleigh has changed, Raleigh has grown so much, and I think one of the things that happens is you can kind of forget the past a bit sometimes. So this is a way to kind of reconnect us and keep us connected to the past, but also with all of these people that are moving into the area, to kind of introduce them to, let me tell you a little bit about our city and why we are so great and why so many people want to live here now.
Absolutely, and people can find out more information by going to RaleighHallOfFame.org, and they can certainly find out more information about the event that's coming up on Sunday, November 4th at 5 p.m., the induction ceremony. We thank you both so much for your time, and thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's Tar Heel Talk. To comment on this or other episodes of the show, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, or send us an email to tarheeltalk@fox50.com. I'm Sonia Williams. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.